Ryan and Hartmut about the technical steps required to get started with Joule for Consultants and see a live demo showcasing how SAP Joule for Consultants can drive productivity. This session will equip you with actionable insights to use this product effectively. During this time, please keep us interactive. There will be polls and a Q&A feature to ask any of your questions. So, with the stage set, let's hear more from Ryan to get us started. So, Ryan, over to you.
Thanks, Haley. Appreciate it. Thanks, everybody. I think I am going to go ahead and try to share as well. That's okay. All right. So just to set the stage, we are talking a little bit about the challenges that customers face and why Joule for Consultant. Many of you I know are kind of on the journey to S4, as we like to say at SAP, and are certainly coming up against the challenges that come along with that. Certainly complex legacy systems, depending on how legacy those systems are. Understanding what has been built in the past in your existing SAP landscapes, looking at some of those enhancements and the complexities that some of us may have inherited in those systems, and understanding what is there and what remains relevant when it comes to S4 remains a challenge, of course, when we talk about migration. In addition, there is the AI innovation pressure that I think we all are facing across the industry these days, especially. How do we, leverage AI in order to deliver faster? Yes, but without sacrificing quality. In addition, there is always the pressure of cost and timeline when it comes to migration projects, including those ECC to S4 programs, particularly when we talk about AI and some of the efficiencies that are possible there, trying to keep those timelines and costs as low as possible, and the challenge of and pressure of using AI to do that. So Joule for Consultants specifically was created to help with address those challenges, right, that we talked about. Expert level guidance for SAP program delivery specifically designed to meet that need, and help us to deliver that quality migration work in a way that is quicker and less costly, to really help us get there. The initial results and feedback that we're seeing with Joule for Consultants, we have seen increased productivity from our customers and partners there, about 1.5 hours per day for those consulting resources. Really the idea there is that we do spend quite a lot of time researching either older functionality, newer functionality, looking for answers from SAP and best practices. Joule for Consultants is specifically designed to help discover that information more quickly and to point you to the right answer, saving time for some of those research projects. In addition, analyzing that legacy ABAP code, especially if you come from a functional background like I do, Joule for Consultants can help you save quite a lot of time in areas like that, specifically with the ABAP code interpretation functionality. Again, I come from functional, so I can usually kind of suss out or get to the meaning of a particular chunk of ABAP code, but it may take me a while. Joule for Consultants is able to help execute those interpretation tasks with a savings of about 40%. In addition, higher quality outputs are possible with Joule for Consultant. Arriving at better decisions to limit the amount of rework that you're having to do, either because we are discovering things about some of those enhancements at the last minute, or we're discovering things that are functionally possible now in S4. Joule for Consultants is really there to help give you better decision-making criteria and decision-making power in the early stages of the program, in order to avoid some of that rework that unfortunately we've all experienced as we get into realization. the kind of journey of Joule for consultants, a little bit about where we have been and where we're going. We'll talk a little bit more about this when we get to the roadmap portion of the program today. As you can see, Joule for Consultants, we kind of launched the product early adopter at the end of 2024, and we went, became generally available around Sapphire of 2025. The initial launch was, that SAP knowledge base, both public knowledge, things like SAP Help and some of the community content, as well as private knowledge, things like SAP Notes and the depreciation list. All of that was made generally available in 2025. Where we are today, as of Sapphire 2026, we have added, quite a lot of personalization uh, functionality in Joule for consultants. So in addition to having access to all of the knowledge base from SAP, it is now possible to give Joule for consultants access and knowledge about your own, knowledge setup, both from a user perspective and organizationally. So things like file upload in the prompt, but particularly the expert functionality where you can kind of preset context inside of Joule for consultants, as well as the custom knowledge grounding feature, where you can expose your own documentation source and include it in the knowledge base for Joule for consultants in a way that is secure and tenant isolated. In addition, there is some other customization that is permitted today around the prompt library and even some of those expert topics. Kind of in the second half of this year and beyond, the focus for us on the Joule for Consultant product team will be around things like landscape awareness, which we will talk about later in the presentation, as well as some system connectivity topics. So again, the idea is to go beyond just that SAP knowledge base, but to give Joule for Consultants more insights into your landscape and into your own kind of documentation. So as you can see, there are quite a number of companies that are using Joule for consultants today, and that's part of the reason why we want to talk with you about activation. You can see there are quite a number of logos on there, quite large organizations, and there is a balance, a mixture of people, people who are customers of SAP, who are using Joule for consultants to, support their existing landscape or help them migrate to a new landscape. In addition, you can see a number of delivery partners here as well who are helping our customers, make those migrations. So there is, a wide breadth of customers utilizing the tool today and are finding great value with it. And we hope that, yeah, this will help inspire you to, go through the activation steps yourself and kind of join these customers. And with that, I think I am turning it over to Hartmut. Hartmut, you're on mute.
All right, yeah. Let me share my screen quickly, just to hop on the activation process. So, um, yeah. So this is the overview over the steps you have to do for onboarding. It maybe looks a bit more complicated than it is. So if you have done any onboarding, so for example, as for HANA onboarding or yeah, any other SAP application, Joule for Consultants is really an easy activation. So don't yeah get yeah frightened by this overview here. So it's the big picture overview. So we have yeah some prerequisites. So what you need, the main part of it is actually you need some AI units. So that's what you need commercially. So that's the new SAP AI units, and that's the thing. Yeah, you have to buy first, and yeah, a couple of other things such as yeah, it's limited to some data centers. You can see them here. You need a BTP and an IaaS or Cloud Identity Service. And yeah, the steps itself, so pretty basic. If you have done any activation, if you have done any work in the BTP, it's nothing new here. So that's really just or many parts. Yeah, there are some parts that are actually new, but most of it is really a regular BTP work. So we do check the entitlements in the BTP account. We create a sub account and add the plans to the sub account. So the entitlements we have checked before. The third step is establish trust to the cloud identity service. So the cloud identity service is where the user management is happening. And eventually we do subscribe to for consultants. So this is you create an instance of for consultants. So this is what you do in the BTP. And then we have the execute booster. So we have here a booster that's a regular Joule booster actually. So that Joule for Consultants is built upon the Joule technology, and we use the Joule booster here to start up the application or to just start with the onboarding. And the next step, so that's the special one, is really the package activation. This is what we are doing in SAP for me. So that has changed recently. So some month ago, we did, before it was a ticketing system, but now we have the SAP for me activation, which enables you to do it by yourself. So you don't have to wait for tickets anymore. So everything can be done by yourself. You go to SAP for me and do the packet activation. We'll see in the video how it looks like. So some part is you activate the features as they called it, and yeah. So that's the SAP for me part where we go into SAP for me and we activate the features. And afterwards, we have still to do some user management. So we do some role assignment in BTP, and we assign the users to the IaaS groups. So IaaS and Cloud Identity Services kind of, well, IaaS is part of Cloud Identity Services. So that's the connection here. So when Cloud Identity Services is listed, you can almost always think IaaS as well. All right. So, and then we are already good to go. So we can launch Joule Consultants and yeah, ask our questions. All right, then going for the next slide, I can show the whole workflow in a video. So we have here, yeah, the workflow. So first of all, we do check the entitlements in the club account. So we see the Joule and the Joule for Consultants entitlement listed. So that's the first step we do. Then we go into Account Explorer. We create a new sub account. So we create a sub account and want to add the entitlements we just checked. So we give it a name. The region has to be chosen correctly. We have seen that there's some limitation there, and then we create it. Once that done is, we hop into the sub account, which go to the entitlements, and we add some service plans. So we add the service plans we have checked before. So it will be Joule here, and another one will be Joule for Consultants. Both are visible already. You do check the plan. So that's another step here. So you check the plan you want to choose. And we do the same thing for Joule for Consultants. And in the end, we add two service plans, and don't forget to click save. So that's the workflow here. And yeah, we are saving now. And the next step is what we have seen in the overview already is establishing the trust, right? So we do that. So we connect to yeah, our chosen cloud identity service. So this has to be decided by your company, which instance you want to use. And yeah, so we pick the one we want to use for this. And then we go ahead, we can change the domain to cloud.sap and click next and finish. All right, so that's the overview here. The next part is when we create the instance of Joule for Consultants. So we can do this via this service marketplace. We click on SAP Joule for Consultants and we click create here. Yeah, there's some costs with it. We checked that. We do enter customer ID and customer name. That's actually an important part here that enables the S user content. So some special content that is not available to yeah, publicly, and by that also not available to ChatGPT and other LLM tools. So that's one advantage of Joule for Consultants, actually. We create the instance, and once that's done, we can actually check it's available in the system tab. So we're in the Clover account now. In the system, we can see here that's the Joule for Consultants system. It's called here by the old name, so it's called SAP Consulting Capability. But yeah, don't be bothered by that. That's just the old name. All right. Then we do the booster. Like we mentioned, we will reuse the Joule booster. So we're setting up Joule is the Joule booster, and we choose that. We start the booster here, some prerequisites checks. So, and if that's done, we choose our sub account, the one we just created. And in the next step, we choose the product. And here, important part is really to only choose Joule for Consultants. So no other Joule can be integrated. That's an important part here. So you have to choose only the capability, SAP Consulting capability. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. All right. And then we continue and choose the system we created before and checked in the Clover account, and then we are good to go and finish the whole thing. All right, it takes some time until it's finished. Then we're doing the user management. So the first thing is really in the BTP, the row collection. So we have seen it in the overview. So we create a new one. The name can be chosen to your liking. And then we do configure it. Yeah, still naming. We go into this role collection. We look for the correct role. So it's the end user role. We pick that one, we enable it, we add it to the role collection. And the next one is here we pasted in some name. It's Joule for Consultants end user. That we see that later in the IIS again. So that is the mapping to the IIS group. So here we do it, enable it in the user group, and the name we enter here has to match what we enter later. So that's the condition here. Now we hopped over to the activation step. So we're done with the row collection step. We now do the package activation. We are in SAP4Me. We are going to portfolio and products, and we have a business AI tab here. And if we look down here, we find Joule for Consultants package. And here we have the ready for activation button. So this is how it works. So that's the new workflow. Before it was really with a ticket, and with this new workflow, you can do it by yourself in SAP4Me. So we just do that. So we click ready for activation. We can choose how many assigned user roles we want to have. So that's chosen here in SAP4Me now. And let's do that. We add some users here and we activate. So that's the first part. So the request is in progress, and what we can do is now look for our tenants. So we have here 5 tenants available, and so with that we jump into the central business configuration. So we clicked on configure on the screen before, and then we jump into the central business configuration. This is how it really you can choose your features. So we will go down here. We see again a Joule for Consultants package and some features with it. So these are the features. We have AI assisted sub-solution and implementation Q&A. So that's the main part. And we have another feature that is for ABAP. So these are the 2 features available for Joule for Consultants. And here we then look for the right tenant. So we look at the IDs, we compare it to the tenant ID in the sub account, and we pick the correct one here. So that's how it works. So we enabled this feature here for this tenant. The activation is progress, and we do the same thing for the ABAP capability or the ABAP feature. Now, so the last or yeah, the next part is really the user management in the IS. So here we see the IS screen, the first screen of IS. We go to groups, and here we create this group I have mentioned before. So this is the name we have also seen in the BTP. We choose the same name, and then we create our group for the end user role here in the IS. So we just did that, and we enter the users we want to have access to Joule for Consultants to this group. All right. The next part is to add to the users to authorization groups. There are two of them. One is the standard group, one is the other is the admin group. And here we have a standard user, and we will add it to this group that got auto-created. So this group was created with the booster, and we add our user here as well. All right. And now we can test it. So if we go to instances subscription, we can see a Joule and sub Joule for consultants. We can click on Joule. And we get the screen, services up and running. If you add Joule, you can go directly to the application. We go our other route, so you can also enter it via the console. If you click on sub Joule for consultants in the previous screen, you enter the console here. So we have the console view. That's for the user. We have 4 icons. Keep that in mind. We will see more later with the admin role. And then we have this embedded Joule we can use. So we have called Joule here. We ask a question and we get the answer. So the system is fully functioning, and it can be done in minutes, as you've seen. Well, there were some sped up parts, right? But it can be done in half an hour easily. All right. And here we see the workflow if we add our user as an admin. So we add the admin user here. And what that will give us is additional capabilities in the console. So here we now have 6 icons. And what we see additionally is usage and settings. So these can be accessed by the admins. And so this is the admin features. There's actually nowadays an additional one. It's custom knowledge grounding. So that's for enabling documents that are provided by yourself, by your company, and that will available just like any other document to Joule for consultants. All right. That's it for the video. Let's go to the next slide, a quick overview of what you also have to do with the CBC. So we have seen the CBC is what, we use that to enable the features. But to do that, beforehand, you have to enable some roles. So you do that in the IS. So that's the one IS screen, and you have to enable certain roles. So a bit not as visible here, but in the documentations, much clearer pictures. So you have to, or at least description in the documentation, you have to add these 2 roles, and then or two policies to be precise, and then this enables the configuration in the CBC. So then you can add the features. So that's a requirement. So you add this to the user that does the enablement of the features. All right, here's some additional information about the CBC. So I will just here onboarding resource center for SAP BTP. We have the onboarding resource center again. So here we have SAP Business AI, and here you have a J4C activation guide. So that's probably a good place to start. So, all right. So that's it from my side. I will hand over back to Ryan.
Thanks, Hartmut. All right, let me go ahead and reshare my screen. All right, share that for you. Okay. So what's new with SAP Joule for Consultants? Yeah, we don't necessarily have time for a full demo today, but I did want to touch upon a couple of features that were announced right around Sapphire, one shortly before and one during Sapphire, that I thought are worth pointing out to this group. The first is the expert workspace, which enables a personalization layer on top of Joule for Consultant that's available to all of your end users. We'll talk a little bit more about that and do a quick demo of that for you. And then the other one is the custom knowledge grounding feature, which allows you to expose your own documentation at the your tenant level. Expose that documentation as part of the knowledge base for Joule for Consultants isolated in your tenant. So as far as the experts and the workspace, an expert essentially is a way to personalize context for any content areas or subject areas that you as a user of Joule for Consultant interact with. It allows you to set custom guidelines or output formats, tones, the types of kind of context and custom instructions that you can take quite a long time if you're putting it into a prompt or something like that. You can put those into Joule for Consultants and manage them directly in the tool. Those experts do persist for as long as you as the user choose to hold on to them. And you do have the ability to add content to those experts, file-based information that maybe is outside of, or you just want to reinforce some of that SAP knowledge. And you do have the ability now, as of the latest release, to share content in those experts, those custom instructions with people inside of your organization, inside of your Joule for Consultant tenant. Just a couple of screen prints to show, the peer-to-peer sharing, the experts, and the admin. We'll talk about those when we get to the demo. In addition, announced at Sapphire, there is this custom knowledge grounding feature. As I've mentioned a few times, out of the box, Joule for Consultant has access to the entirety of SAP's knowledge base, the products that we make, past versions, current versions, etc. You do have the ability, though, to add your own documentation to that knowledge base, again, isolated in your tenant, and that data does remain on your inside of your current data repository, so you're not turning that information over to SAP or anything like that. The way that works is you can set up a document grounding pipeline in AI Core, link it to your repository. Right now, we support SharePoint, Build Work Zone, AWS S3, and Google Drive. Once you connect that pipeline to Joule for Consultants, then as you are interacting with the tool, as Joule for Consultants goes through that answer generation process, it is able to synthesize the data not only from SAP and the information there, but also any content that you have stored in your own data repository. So if you have things like system documentation, information about enhancements or reports, other RISIF items that you may have built, Joule for Consultant has access to kind of both of those data sets as users interact with the tool. A quick example of what a consolidated answer will look like. I can also show that in the demo. It is worth noting that as of this last release with custom knowledge grounding, the tenant administrator does have the ability to restrict certain accesses inside of those pipelines. So, if you can see it on the screen, there's an allow and a deny and a restricted for this particular document pipeline, which allows you to kind of segregate or have a little bit more control over the, who has access to which documentation set when it comes to that custom knowledge grounding feature. On to the demo, let me switch over to Joule for Consultants. And I'll hit refresh just in case I've been talking too long. And that tenant should come up. Maybe I've been talking too long. Sorry about that.
And so, Ryan, maybe while you do that, I know that Natalie's been hard at
Sure.
work answering questions
Yeah,
in Q&A. So, Natalie, maybe I'll jump in just really quick about yes, these
sure.
slides, recording, all the stuff we're going through today will be provided after the session. That's come up a few times, so just to verbally confirm. Um, and then we will get to some of these top questions at the end of the session. But Ryan, I think I see your screen up, so if you can confirm
It is in
to
fact.
go.
Yeah, we should be good.
Wonderful.
Yep. So the first thing that I would like to show you is just a little bit more information about the experts that are available and how you can manage those. So if we click on that quick links button from the start screen of Joule for Consultant, we do get the quick links, which opens a couple of cards here. There's some information in the console, particularly for your tenant administrators. Users do have access to a prompt guide and prompt library if they want to see examples of prompts. And then in addition, we do have this experts workspace. If we click show experts, that will just give us a list of the experts that have been created already by me, the user in this tenant. But we can also open the expert workspace in the console to get an idea of what has been created and how we can create and use templates to create experts. So in this tenant, you can see that I've created two experts, one kind of a generalist about SCM, supply chain management. And then also, because I am an SAP employee, I have to create one about clean core as well. So in this expert already created, you can see we can give it a name and a description, as well as some custom instructions. Again, just a way to set additional context or guardrails for the interaction for, kind of, again, preloading that context so that we don't have to put it into the prompt every time we're interacting with Joule for Consultant. You can see that we have 10,000 characters worth of custom instructions that are possible to add here. So it is possible to be quite elaborate, right, with how we want this expert to act. If we want an expert on fit to standard or an expert that looks at existing business processes through, meeting minutes or something, and then maps that into what the functionality should be in the new version of SAP, things like that. So long as it is under 10,000 characters, those types of instructions, context, and guardrails are all possible here. In addition, we do have the ability to add attachments. So, if there is information that comes from outside of the SAP, knowledge ecosystem that we want to add, if it's, PDF files with additional rules and regulations we need to comply with in our process, or even, reinforcing information about, say, I saw in the chat, say, our existing development standard. We wanted to create an expert to evaluate functional and technical designs. That type of content is fair game here in the expert. In addition, we do have the ability to share those experts with people that are inside of our tenant just via this share expert button. We can type in their email address, click add, and then that will share this expert content with them. So it is possible to kind of deploy, experts amongst your team so that, more than one user can take advantage of, what someone has built. In addition, we can see that when something is shared with you, you can go to the shared with me, select that expert, and then add it. We also have the expert library, which has pre-delivered experts from SAP, as well as customers. You do have the ability to create your own expert templates. So if there is an expert, that you again want to deploy beyond just user-to-user sharing, it is possible to create your own template as the tenant administrator and share that with your users. A number of examples here, but even if we're creating one from scratch, we can select that custom expert and apply the template. And you can see in this case, it's really just giving us ideas of how we could structure an expert if we're going to build one entirely from scratch. or we could see some of the examples from SAP as well. When it comes to, how are we on time? We're doing good. So as far as interacting with the experts, if we come back out here and we do show experts, we can choose that Clean Core expert, just click select, and we can have that expert look at something for us. So I here just have an example of a functional specification, that I was involved with several years ago for an on-premise implementation. Not exactly giving it a ton of information in the prompt, but I have preloaded that Clean Core kind of critique and context. I can upload a Word file of that design, and I can ask Joule for Consultants, specifically my Clean Core expert, to take a look at that specification and give me, an assessment of how that stacks up against some of the Clean Core principles. As I mentioned, I did write it a number of years ago, so it certainly isn't what we would call Clean Core compliant these days. It's a level D. And Joule for Consultants is able to kind of give me a breakdown of how it arrived at that decision. We do have the ability to retry this prompt if we want to, to expand or shorten the answer, provide other feedback. And then we can also see the sources here around, sources from SAP, and then also, the file that I uploaded. When it comes to the custom knowledge grounding, I can show a little bit about that as well. This tenant of Joule for Consultants is connected to a SharePoint site. It is, I believe we can actually see that in the settings. In the console. I'm an administrator in this tenant, so I do have access to look at those settings. We can see that there are a couple of pipelines that have been set up, one with SharePoint, as I mentioned, and then WorkZone and S3. In addition, we have activated the custom knowledge grounding feature. So Joule for Consultants does have access to the documents that are stored in that SharePoint site. So we can simply ask a question and have Joule for Consultants look across both sources from SAP and information in that file share. The files in that particular SharePoint site are related to custom knowledge grounding itself. So I can ask just to say, hey, explain to me how this works with the AI core document grounding in Joule for Consultant. So what's happening now is Joule for Consultant is again kind of looking through that SAP knowledge base. Certainly we as SAP have published a amount of content around the custom knowledge grounding, as well as the documentation that is stored in that file share. So we get a solid overview, right, of how custom knowledge grounding connects and works with Joule for Consultant. And if we look at the sources, we do have, information from SAP, the SAP knowledge base, but we also have a link to a document that is stored in SharePoint. In this case, it is the FAQ document for Joule for Consultant itself. If we click that link, it will open up that SharePoint document for us. Once Word loads, that is. Yeah, so there's the FAQ. So essentially, in the demo, you did see the custom knowledge grounding is able to look across both of those knowledge sources, both information from us at SAP, as well as the documentation that we have, stored in that grounding pipeline. And with that, skip that video. we can move into the roadmap discussion. This is a little bit of a deeper dive version than what we saw at the top of the presentation. A little bit more granular information about where we have been as a product team with Joule for Consultant, as well as where we are going. I do like to point out just looking at the left-hand side of this roadmap that in the last, let's call it 12 months, quite a number of features have been delivered by this product team, including some of that gated content around SAP Notes, embedded the prompt guide and library, better industry knowledge. I come from industries consulting, so that is important, near and dear to me. Several of those console functions, as well as prototyping and piloting that custom knowledge grounding feature set. First half of this year, custom knowledge grounding was generally available. We introduced experts. We do give you, as the customer, the ability to control and load your own example prompts into the prompt library, as well as expert templates. In addition to some of those user experience things like retrying the prompt, copying it, etc. When it comes to the future, where we are going, kind of towards the right-hand side of this roadmap, you'll see, the same way that you see custom knowledge grounding mentioned twice, you can see landscape awareness is mentioned twice here. We are starting, just like we did with custom knowledge grounding, with a limited pilot around that landscape awareness, with the idea of making that generally available towards the latter half of this year or the early part of next. It is a roadmap, so it is subject to change. The idea here is to go beyond giving Joule for Consultant access to just SAP's knowledge, go beyond giving Joule for Consultant access to your knowledge via custom knowledge grounding, but to begin to give Joule for Consultants access to what is specifically going on inside of your landscape. So like with many software development projects, we will start with gathering just high-level information about your landscape. Things like the versions of the software that you're running, which tools do you have deployed, things like that. But you can see that there is kind of additional items here on the roadmap, things like system connectivity and looking at the agent-led tool chain that will get more granular. So starting at a high level, the versions of the software that you are in, but then through some of those system connectivity items, moving beyond that into things like, what business functions do you have activated, for example, in the ABAP stack, understanding, potentially even configuration values in your systems, with the idea of, again, giving you, using Joule for Consultant, more insight into what is going on inside of your actual systems, as opposed to just, understanding what version that you're on. Important to note, and I always want to mention it, of course, that these types of topics are, again, isolated to your tenant. You're not sharing this information with the world. You are, keeping that knowledge inside of your tenant of Joule for Consultant in a secure way. And yeah, down the roadmap, looking at some agentic actions that could be taken. A lot of steps to get there, but that is absolutely kind of where we are headed in the back half of this year, certainly, and then into the future. There is some infrastructure expansion that's planned, additional data centers, etc. And then looking at more of an ecosystem of Joule for Consultant. Many of you, I'm sure, are coming from partner organizations, and many of you are from customers. How can Joule for Consultants help enable that type of collaboration between partners and customers, as they are, again, migrating into S4. A couple of key resources just to close out the information from us. The activation guide that Hartmut shared is available here in the presentation. There is a Discovery Center mission for that. Selfishly, I will also point out that there is a Discovery Center mission for the custom knowledge grounding. If you are, on the Discovery Center, you can look at those at the same time. In addition, there is some information about experts in here, how to get started with those. Those are available to your end users out of the box. No additional setup there, but if you want some background information, it is there for you. And then, yeah, some additional information about the knowledge grounding as well. And with that, I think I am turning over for the Q&A.
Thank you so much, Ryan and Hardmood, for running us through all of that. And of course, a huge shout out to those folks supporting the Q&A as we've gone through a lot of this. So I've been reading all of this information back and forth. So maybe just to reiterate some of the trends that I'm seeing in the chat specifically is I know Natalie addressed some of the AI unit currency sorts of questions. So if you have questions related to that topic, that's addressed in the Q&A. Maybe one question as I continue to read through would be around just how to get access. So if there is a spot to start, Ryan, I'll start with you of
Yeah,
where do we actually start to use J4C or Joule for Consultants specifically?
as far as the technical activation, you think, Haley? Or
Correct.
just
Yep.
in general? Okay, yeah. Um, there is a Discovery Center mission, that's available. As Hartmut demonstrated, you are able to activate Joule for Consultants following the steps that he outlined. The only real prerequisite is that you have AI units that are available to you. Certainly, your SAP account team would be delighted to talk to you about AI units and how to procure those. I also believe that it is possible to buy them directly on the SAP store as well. So if either of those options, I think are available if you want to procure AI units that way. And then the only other prerequisite is to have a BTP global account, right, to set up the tenant. As you saw, Joule for Consultants is kind of provisioned and set up, through BTP. But other than that, once you have those two things, it's just a matter of working through the activation steps that Hartmut outlined.
Perfect. And maybe to key off that question a bit is also to detail, I'll say, some of the fair use limits, but also the requests. So if there's a consultant that has hundreds of questions versus maybe someone that only has one or two, what does that look like more from the usage kind of standpoint?
Yeah. So at a high level, there's a per user per month charge for the AI units, and those AI units give you access to something like 22,900 requests, Haley, to your point. Um, what we do though is we pool those requests across your organization. So, essentially we're setting a ceiling for your entire organization based on the number of users, and we're pooling those requests across the user base. So if one, consultant is busy with, hundreds and hundreds of interactions, and another isn't, really, you're not going to see an overage charge until you go over that, total company ceiling on the requests. The average Joule for Consultant prompt today consumes about 9 requests. So for an individual user to go over, 22,000 plus, you would have to be, heavily interacting with the tool quite a bit. And again, you wouldn't see an individual overage charge in those types of cases. You would only see it if every user in your company is, you know, consuming thousands and thousands of interactions in a given month.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that clarification. So, I saw Natalie tried to come off mute, so I'll pause and see if there is anything she wanted to address live before I go into a few more questions.
I think Ryan pretty much answered. I think on the commercial topic, maybe just to summarize, because I see a lot of
Yeah,
similar
Okay.
one, it's per user per month, 35 AI unit, and each AI unit is about €7 or dollar, but the detailed price you can either check from SCP store or talk to your AE. They usually you can get only on a monthly basis, or some cases you have to buy an annual fee. So I would go check out on SAP store or talk to your AE. But per user per month, like Ryan mentioned, is 22,900 requests. As of right now, each query is roughly about 9 requests. So you get roughly about 2,400 prompts per month per user. With new capabilities, this request may go up much higher because we're adding more context from landscape and system connectivity. But nevertheless, it's a pooled request of prompt of all your users in a tenant. If you have 10 users, that number goes up 2,400 times 10 across all your 10 users. So in that sense, that's the cost and the capacity that you will have.
Yeah, thank you, Natalie,
Yeah.
for that clarification. Switching off of that kind of topic, there's a question about what languages are available to be used within Joule for Consultants. So English, German, anything else?
I think I had some of those listed on the roadmap slide, if I can go back there. I don't know if that's an exhaustive list, but we do, support multiple languages. I see English, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, Chinese, Japanese, and Korean here on the slide. Natalie Hartmut, is there any other languages that we want to add?
Yeah,
I think
so one thing here, so the languages that are listed here are the UI languages, right? But in
Mhm.
the background, we have an LLM, and they usually understand a lot of languages, so they can deal with
That's
yeah.
fair.
So the languages listed here are the UI languages, and yeah, those are the supported ones, unless Natalie has
no, no,
some
yeah,
other.
it's all good. I think yeah, it's pretty multilingual support.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, anecdotally, I have seen prompts in languages that are not listed on the slide and absolutely have seen answers from Joule for Consultant in those languages.
Perfect. So maybe two questions before we wrap the end of this time. So a couple of questions about Joule Work Desktop and Joule for Consultants. What is the difference? Could you explain some of those pieces as folks have seen details about that?
Right.
Maybe
Natalie, did
let
you
me,
want to take that
yeah,
one?
let me take this one. I see several related questions. So first of all, there's a Joule, what is Joule for consultant? So just to clarify, Joule is it's a just different persona. So Joule is for business users and it's embedded UI experiences. If you're in SuccessFactors, Concur, or Reba or public cloud, you can click the Joule button. You'll have natively embedded Joule capability for business users, and Joule for consultant are standalone. So there is no dependency on what product or services that you have to have. So it's more of a standalone. So it can ask questions on ECC for on-premises. So that's kind of the one of the major difference as of right now. They are running independently as of right now, but they're just different personas of Joule. And with the new Joule work, you may hear from Sapphire, we are evolving all towards to the generative UI, which the conversational experience is much smoother. And we also have Joule Spaces, which is a new feature that we're in EAC phase right now. And Joule Work and Joule Desktop is just a different kind of a channel to surface this engagement layer, where the desktop would be able to download on your desktop. And I know it's also currently in the EAC. But overall product strategy perspective, it's all in the Joule portfolio, and it will be in Joule family, in short. Yep.
Wonderful. Okay. Last question to each of you. So, Hartmut, Natalie, and Ryan, I'll ask each of you to recap in one sentence. What is the value of Joule for Consultants that you want to leave the audience with?
I would say a cup of coffee a day would help you with all your SAP consulting questions at your fingertip.
Very nice.
Yeah, so maybe continue here. So it's really the one-stop shop for all the SAP knowledge, right? So we have all the different sources ingested. You can even add your sources. So this is really the place to go if you want to know anything about, anything in the SAP realm. So
I guess I would say get to the right information and answers quickly.
Wonderful. Yeah, three different flavors, but it's all still, of course, very applicable depending on how technical, business user, partner, customer, and wherever you are in your journey. And with that, I wanted to thank our absolutely fantastic experts for supporting this session, all of the participation that came through both through the Q&A as well as the poll. But before I wrap up, I just want to make sure that we're capturing exactly how confident you feel at the end of this session. So, if you wouldn't mind just giving us a kind of final pulse check of exactly how comfortable you feel with understanding Joule for Consultants now at the end of this session. And again, just to recap again, slides, recording will be sent after this session. Otherwise, feel free to attend more of the sessions if you haven't signed up yet, and we will see you in the next call. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Recording stopped.